Okay, so I'm starting with freshly cleansed skin. I have just cleansed, moisturized, eye cream, all that good stuff about 20 minutes ago. You don't want to wait longer than like 30 minutes because then like the moisturizer could have set unevenly and your makeup's not going to lay as smoothly on your skin. And that's something that I found, because if you do it immediately after you cleanse and moisturize, it may not have set enough. But if you do it too late after, I've always had problems blending my eyeshadow. My contour doesn't blend as well just because it has then set unevenly in your skin. So that makes a big difference for me. But I'm just going to go ahead and put my hair back, and then we're going to go ahead and get started. And a headband just so none of my crazy hairs get onto my face. So of course we all want a flawless foundation routine. We want a beautiful airbrush looking finish. But with that good foundation routine and all the pretty makeup, you also want to have really pretty skin. So make sure you're really taking care of your skin, wearing sunscreen every day. And you don't have to have a super expensive skincare routine, but you definitely want to have a skincare routine, just because the makeup products that you use on your face are obviously a big deal. But the skin underneath is obviously going to play a very big role in how your makeup applies and wears throughout the day. So with that being said, make sure you know your skin type. Some people might say this is stupid, and it's absolutely not stupid, because especially if you're a beginner, you may not know these things. But if you have dry skin, you want to stay away from foundations that say matte or mattifying. You want that luminosity and that extra moisture in your skin along with a good skincare routine. You want your makeup to be able to put some of those nutrients and that moisture back in your skin. So if you are oily, you want to look for things that say mattifying, and you want to stay away from things that say illuminating, hydrating, radiant, all that kind of stuff. Now, unless you already have your skincare routine down pat and you know the difference between these products and what they're going to do to your skin, you definitely want to make sure you're looking for those keywords depending on your skin type. If you are dry and you still want to use products that are for dry skin but you don't like that luminous finish, what you can do is use the correct products that you need, but then also just set down the foundation and everything with the powder so it gives you a nice matte finish without drying your skin out. So that's really, really important. I wanted to make sure to mention that to you guys. And it is absolutely not stupid if you don't know the difference between what matte and luminous is, because I had someone message me that said their skin was extremely oily, their makeup was sliding off by the end of the day, or even like as soon as they put it on. And I asked her what kind of foundation she was using, and she said Loreal True Match Lumi, which is a luminous foundation. Then I've had someone with dry skin tell me that they were using the Infallible Pro Matte, and then it wasn't sitting on their skin well, it was kind of patchy, because they had dry skin. So just make sure you know the products that you're using, and I wanted to tell that to you guys because it's not a stupid question. It's something that needs to be asked, and if you're a beginner, you may not know that, but it's really, really important to know your skin type and what products you should be using. So I hope that helped a little bit. I'm trying to move that out of the way. Okay, so I use 2 to 3 different primers, one mattifying right here for my oily areas on my chin and a little bit around my nose. And then I use a more luminous hydrating primer because right now my skin is dry on the outside, but not so dry right here in the center. I get a little bit oily. I've already used the moisturizer that works for my skin and my different skin issues, but making sure that you use a primer that really targets those things as well is going to be really helpful in how your makeup lasts during the day and how it applies. So to start, I use my Makeup Forever Step 1 Mattifying Primer just right here on my chin, and then depending on how oily I've been, just right here on my nose. So I'm just going to put a little tiny bit. This goes a long way, and it is very mattifying right on my chin. You need about this much, like a little tiny dot. So I'm just going to apply that onto my chin. And the next primers that I'm going to go in with are luminous. I use either the Maybelline Blur Plus Illuminate Primer or the Becca Backlighting Priming Filter, or Backlight Priming Filter. It's really nice and luminous, has like a nice like fresh scent. But I'm going to use, let's use the Maybelline today, which is what I've been using, so why not? And this has a really nice like lotion consistency, and it also has like a luminosity to it. It has like a pink glow, kind of like the MAC Strobe, what is it, MAC Strobing lotions. I like the way this smells as well, and it is really, really pretty on the skin. If you can tell, I have like a nice glow, not just because I put on primer, but because it actually has luminosity to it. So just going to apply that onto my face. And then if I want to be really extra that day, I'll go in with the NYX Angel Veil, just right here to fill in some pores on my skin. And then again, just like the tiniest amount of that, because I'm only going to put it on my cheeks. And my pores aren't too bad on my cheeks, but you know, just an extra step. And you want to use a small amount of this, because if you use too much, it gives you like a really like white cast. It's very similar to the Hourglass Mineral Veil Primer, but a fraction of the cost, so I like it a lot. And now for my foundations, my holy grail combo is the Loreal Infallible Pro Matte and the Loreal True Match. Right now, since I'm so fair, I'm using the shade W2 in the True Match, and then the shade 104 Sun or Golden Beige in the Pro Matte. And drugstore foundations are really good. You can find some good ones at the drugstore, but the only thing is their undertone selection is crap, especially if you have yellow undertones like I do. If you have more neutral pink undertones, you should have no issue finding a foundation at the drugstore, but if you have more yellow undertones that aren't so peach, it is a struggle. So I'm mixing the W2 because it's light enough for me, but a little bit too light, and then the 104 because it actually adds in some warmth. Even though it is a little more peach than I would like, you know, I'm just trying to make it work. So I just put way too much True Match on my hand, but we're just gonna add in some Pro Matte. And I love this combo. It lasts all day. It looks really nice on your skin. So I'm just gonna mix that together on the back of my hand, but we're gonna leave out some of that True Match because I put way too much. And then if I need to make it lighter, I can just add a little bit more in. So mixing that, I'm gonna take what's on my finger and start dotting that onto my face. I don't like to dip my brush directly into the foundation because it soaks a lot of it up. That means more foundation for you to clean out of your brush and more foundation for use on your face because it's all going to the bottom of your brush. And then I have some scarring from being allergic to perfume on my neck, so I do put a good amount of foundation on my neck. Also, because my neck is so fair compared to my chest, I do need foundation on my neck to make everything match. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of that, put it on my chin or on my nose, a little bit on my chin. I don't want to get too cakey because I get really cakey right around here, especially on my upper lip. So I try to use very little foundation there. So now I'm just going to take my Holy Grail foundation brush, and I have a video on all of my favorite brushes that shows you guys like dupes if there are any and things like that. So I'm gonna take my Sigma F80 flat top kabuki brush and just start buffing this in to my skin. You don't want to drag because then you're going to leave like streaks on your face from the actual hairs. So I make sure to get right around my ear. I don't put it on my ear. I know some people do, but I'm not that worried about it. And then just blend it all out. Now I do have a lot of redness in my cheeks, but I'm not going to take it onto my cheeks because I'll go back in with a pretty full coverage concealer, and I don't want too many layers on my skin to make me look cakey. I don't need a ton of coverage, so I try to go light and make it look natural. So just blending that in onto my neck, around my jawline. And then just making that look as blended as possible. I'm gonna add a little bit of that lighter True Match on my forehead because the Pro Matte is pretty mattifying. And my forehead is definitely one of the more dry areas on my face. Try to blend in a little bit on my lip. And then I'm gonna go back in with some concealer right there since I'm so red. Also trying to blend that around my eyebrows so we don't have like a big white line above our brows. My friend texted me this morning. She was like, my hair's blown dry, makeup done all in 14 minutes. And I was like, it takes me 14 minutes alone just to do my base. So I wish I could be at that point in my life, but I'm just not. Then I'm gonna take my damp sponge and just go back over my face to make sure everything is nice and blended and we don't have any streaks in our foundation. And this is something that I'll always do. Just blending that all out, right around my jawline. So everything is nice and smooth and we look airbrushed. Now for our under eyes, I'm going to take my Holy Grail corrector, and this is the Becca Brightening. I always call it something different. So it's the Becca Under Eye Brightening Corrector, and it just looks like this in a little pot. So I'm going to take my ring finger. Always use your ring finger because you don't want to tug on your eyes too much, and just apply this right underneath my eyes to conceal my dark circles and all the purple and green there, and kind of up onto my lid just a tiny bit, like right here in the corner, just because it's pretty dark there. And then same for the other eye. Always make sure you just kind of pat it in. You don't have to drag it because again, that's going to pull on your skin around your eye and give you wrinkles, and we don't want wrinkles this early in life. Now I'm going to go ahead and get my under eye setting powder ready because I always bake with this, and this is the Maybelline Translucent Mineral Veil. I've only ever been able to find this at Walmart. I've never seen it at Target or anywhere, so this is like my Holy Grail. I've been using it for like 2 or 3 years. really affordable. And I like this because it's not as dry as the Laura Mercier, so it doesn't make me look really cakey underneath. And then I'm going to take my little disposable cosmetic sponge, dip that in there, ready to bake one of my eyes, and then go with my concealer. So I'm going to take the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer, and I have the shade Light, or Light Sand, actually Light Sand. I was the shade Light Medium when they first came out, and they only had 6 shades, but now they came out with a few more. And this one is supposed to have more yellow undertones, whereas Light Medium had more peachy pink undertones, but I can make it work with the tan. And I'm just going to blend that out. As I always say, blend out the concealer as much as you can with the applicator, because I see people do the dots or just like the 3 lines. But when you do that and then you go in with a damp sponge or a brush, again, it's going to soak up a lot of that product, and then you're going to end up putting more for more coverage when you can go ahead and blend it out yourself. So I don't dip back into the tube, I just go ahead and blend it out with the actual wand. So I do that all around my eyes, onto my cheeks since we didn't put much foundation there, around my nose because I get really red, but I'm going to try to use a sparing amount because I do get cakey there, and then onto my chin and a little bit on the bridge of my nose. Because I'll take the excess and blend it onto my lids to prep for eyeshadow, and also onto my nose just for extra coverage. So taking that same damp sponge, I'm just going to start blending this in. I'll go in on my cheeks, I'll go in on my chin and around my nose, and on my nose first, because since I use a smaller amount, it'll dry faster and be harder to blend if I let that sit there for a minute. Ooh, I'm looking so dry and cakey. So I'm definitely gonna have to use some Fix Plus because I used my Fresh Lotus Youth Preserve moisturizer instead of my Mary Kay Time Wise, which is really hydrating. And this is not sitting on my skin so nicely, but it'll all come together at the end with bronzer and with setting sprays. So just blending that all out, blending that onto my temples to conceal extra redness there, blending all the way up to the eyebrow. And then I'm going to take what was left on the sponge and just kind of blend around my mouth. And I will go back in for a little bit more, just because I feel like it. So again, I don't want to use a lot because this wand is so huge that a lot of concealer comes out on it. So I'm just going to use my finger to kind of blend out the rest. And then go with the sponge. And I'm going to go ahead and get my little disposable sponge ready to bake. And baking just really helps with creasing, because whenever I use a brush, first of all, it gives really awful flashback in pictures, like it makes it look patchy underneath, and it just doesn't set my eyes as well, because I do have little fine lines underneath my eyes. I think everyone does. So baking really helps that look not so noticeable and keeps my concealer from like setting into those lines. And I did take this onto the top of my lid just so that my little hood and my fold right there don't get concealer creased up in them when I go in to try to blend my eyeshadow. And then whenever I wipe off the excess powder, I will brush off that. Now to bake my chin, I am going to use the Laura Mercier translucent powder, and this helps control my oil really well. I want to try the Coty Airspun powder, but my Walmart is always sold out, so I'm still like looking for it. But I'm just going to take that same sponge, press this into my chin like that, and I'm going to let this sit all throughout, like doing my powder, my brows, everything, just so during the day I don't get as oily there. And then I try not to use a lot of powder around my chin, around my nose, just because I do get so like cakey, but I'm going to use a tiny bit right there. And I am super red right there because being red around your nose is hormonal, and I'm pregnant, so, you know, having all kinds of issues. Not really, I always have good pregnancies, but I am pretty red and I don't want to get cakey, so I just kind of let it come through right now because there's really nothing I can do about it. But since my under eye is dry, I'm going to go ahead and wipe off this powder. I don't want it to sit too long. And I'm just using my e.l.f. small taper brush. I'll talk about it in my brushes video. And then again, I'm just going to leave all of this here until I'm done with my brows and my bronzer. To contour, I'm going to take my Sigma F05 brush, and instead of my Kat Von D Shade Light Contour Kit, I'm just going to take this single shadow from MAC in the shade Omega. It's super cool in gray tone, which gives you that more like realistic shadow appearance because of the gray tones. It actually looks like a shadow on your face. Then pulling in and drawing in those areas that you want to make look smaller. So I'm just going to take that, which I love this brush because it does all the work for you, and just start blending that in, kind of like in circular motions, just so it's nice and blended. And you want to start kind of at the top of your ear. Don't take it all the way down to your mouth because that can get too harsh and too dramatic. And then just kind of blend it out. Same for the other eye. I'm just kind of swirling it around in the eyeshadow. It's really dirty. And then I'm just going to do the same for the other side. So start at your ear, kind of blend up. If you can't like necessarily spend $40 on a contour kit, just find a single eyeshadow. They're like now I think MAC single shadows that they don't actually come in this case, like it's just a pan, are like $6. But just find an eyeshadow that would work for what you're trying to do and for your skin tone, and go with it. You're just gonna keep going back in, making sure that's as blended as I want it to be. But seriously, that makes such a big difference. Like, look at my face.
Let it go.
I actually look like I have cheekbones. My face is flat. So now to bronze, I'm going to take my butter bronzer and my Sonic Shape number 130 brush and just start going ham with this because I love bronzer and blush.
That's it.
Just packing that on. This bronzer is very subtle, so I do always go back in with something a little bit deeper. And then that's good for now. I'll probably go back in after I put on eyeshadow and use a little bit darker of a bronzer. But I'm just going to take this same brush with no additional product and run it down the sides of my nose just to give a, pretty simple nose contour. And then again, taking that same damp sponge, I'm just going to run that right underneath this contour to clean it up, make it a little bit more sharp without actually baking it. Same for this side, on my little baby hairs. Just really clean that up. And then I guess I can go ahead and wipe off this excess powder because it's set in pretty well. And then I'm just going to clean out the sides of my nose the same way and just in the center so it doesn't look so messy. And then for blush today, I'm going to use the Too Faced Pop It On Peach Blush. How cute is this packaging? Seriously, it's adorable. And I'm just going to take that on my Morphe E4 brush and just, again, go ham because I love blush. And just start applying that onto the apples of my cheeks and blending it back into the contour. My blush tends to look more intense than a lot of other people because my face, I use a ton, but my face is pretty flat. Like, I don't have really defined cheekbones, so it's all one flat surface. Whereas, like, if you really do have an intense apple on your cheek, it is kind of just concentrated to that area, but for me, it's just one flat surface. So I just blend it together and make the best of it. And then, as always, I put a little bit of blush on the tip of my nose, just because I like that kind of rosy look. And it adds a glow before we highlight. Again, just making sure it's all nice and blended. This is a beautiful color and it has a peachy smell that I'm not too crazy about because I'm pregnant, but it smells nice, I guess. Then taking that same Sonic Shape 130 bronzing brush, I'm just going to make sure that's blended together, that my contour and bronzer are blended in together from my temples. And then I'm gonna finish off the rest of my face. But this completes my foundation routine. I did film this look. It was a deep and kind of sultry New Year's Eve makeup look that's up on my channel, and I'll link it down in the description box if you guys want to watch it. But your complexion and your base is really important in your makeup because it just gives you that kind of seamless look, and to have nice makeup and nice foundation, you need to have nice skin. So I'll get all into that in a skincare video because skin is like the base of everything. It's your biggest organ. It's super important to take care of it. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, I promise that'll be up soon. It just takes so long to film because I have so much to tell you guys that I want to condense it but not leave anything out. So just keep an eye out for that. But thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.